right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Yes, good morning. All right. Let's get into it here. We'll see how far I can get before either a baby cries or FedEx shows up. I'm supposed to be getting my camera today, so I won't be using this lame webcam. I mean, I guess it's not lame, but this built-in webcam. I'm getting a better webcam, so that's exciting. So hopefully next time I do the live stream, it's all set up well. So let me know you can see me, hear me, everything in the chat okay, and let's kind of get started here. I'm going to go to the framework, and let's get fetch upstream is what I care about. That's going to be Laravel's main repo. Okay, so today I want to work on two things, very tiny little paper cut things. I don't think either of them are probably, I think both of them are breaking changes is probably the better way to say that. So I think I'm going to branch these off of master and kind of go from there. We'll see in the PR, if Taylor or Dries or whatever say, hey, we can take this in 8, then great, I'll just change the branch and it's all good. So let's go ahead and check out master locally and then get pull upstream master. Cool. Okay, so now we should be in a place. I think I messed that up last time, so I just want to make sure I'm in a place where I've got all the latest work from Laravel on my local master branch, and from here I can check out -b default IP address. And let's bring up phpstorm. Okay, so this one is super simple. It's basically a scenario where the other day I tweeted about, like, I don't know if it's might be buried now, but let's see. I haven't made that many tweets. I did a little code tweet on, I think this user logins. Yes, okay. It's actually not in the tweet though, so, but anyways, I was actually highlighting this foreign ID 4, which is a cool little helper thing added in, I think in like 8.14, so if you just do composer update, if you're on Laravel 8, you'll get this latest helpful method. Sparked some good debate, so definitely check out this tweet thread if you want. But ultimately, as part of this user logins, I was actually tracking IP address, which is also Laravel migration columns. It's also kind of like a column, I guess not a modifier, it's an actual type. So I used this, and this was cool. I knew about this from building Blueprint and whatever. There's a handful of these kind of like, simple ones, MAC address, IP address, and I just thought it would be nice if I just call it IP address. So it'd be nice if the default maybe column name was like IP underscore address or MAC underscore address. Very simple in these cases. Super tiny paper cut. Not something that I feel like it's going to make or break the framework by any means. Doesn't really matter to me if it gets in or not. I just thought it'd be a fun little thing to kind of live stream. So let's jump into the framework and let's kind of just add those for IP address and MAC address. And I'm going to do them in separate commits in the off chance that one is liked and the other is not, or something along those lines. So let's just kind of find where this IP address is. I'm sure there's like a migrations column table kind of thing. So we have Blueprint. That looks legit. Yeah, cool. So here they are. Perfect. So MAC address and IP address are both right here. I'm sure these are tested in some capacity. So let me just try to use phpstorm with command B, and it does look like the different schemas, MySQL, SQLite, SQL Server, and Postgres, all kind of test this a certain way. So what do they do here? Test adding IP address. Okay, new Blueprint users, they call the Blueprint IP address, and they check its SQL, and they basically make sure that it's rendered that statement correctly. Okay, so great. So let's test drive this out. So I'm already on that new branch. Let me just run composer update in the background, and we'll make sure that we're able to run the test locally. Hey Anton, thanks. Yes, very exciting. Little Izzy is growing up so fast. She's getting ready to go down for a nap now. So yeah, I'm gonna try to squeeze in this live stream. But maybe in a future one where she's kind of less fussy and can hold her head up better, I might do like little baby, little baby Bjorn, little parent programming. So we'll see. That'll be fun. All right, cool. So let's test drive this, and what I want to say is test adding IP address defaults column name. All right, and what I want to do is not pass it anything, and we'll expect that it's going to be the users table, of course, but we're going to add IP address. So basically, this will be our default name. And provided composer ran, if I run vendor bin php unit, and I don't want to run the whole test suite just yet, so let me just target, what's wrong with my copy command? Come on, phpstorm. Oh, it's indexing. Great. All right, well here, let's steal this one then. Dash dash filter equals just that test. Okay, we get too few arguments passed a function. Makes total sense because, of course, we did not pass anything to that method. So that's actually a PHP error, which we would have expected. So let's flip blueprint. I like to kind of do a split screen when I'm TDDing. So okay, so the simplest thing that could possibly work here is basically just use PHP to default this column name. All right, that's simple, right? Let's run this again. And we pass. Beautiful. So again, super tiny paper cut. I just thought it was something that might be helpful. You know, my expectation when I actually wrote this in my migration was I just wrote that because, hey, I want an IP address column. You know, and by convention in Laravel, it uses snake case and so forth like that. So, oh, sorry, I apologize. That I think the delivery guy's here. One sec, really sorry. Sorry about that. False alarm, just the regular mail. Okay, so everything passes. Let's target, now that phpstorm is back, let's target this path. Oh, I hate this about phpstorm. They changed this a while ago. You have to like choose, I want the repository root path. I just want to run this whole test because we're going to be changing a lot of stuff in here. Okay, so great. Everything's good. We've made the default for IP address. So let's do a git add -p. And we're just defaulting that. No change there otherwise. And that's our new test. Defaults column name. Okay. String column. Does Laravel have the convention in their doc blocks where they mention the default value? Let's find out. No, they don't. Okay, I was just curious if they did anything like some kind of syntax here, like default, you know, whatever. I'm totally mistyping that, but you get the idea. But they do not. Okay, so git commit -m default IP address column name. Yeah, I feel good about that. Okay, let's do the same for the MAC address. Oh, you know what? That's incomplete. We need to finish this up for the other types. Sorry about that. That's all right. We'll use some Git magic to append that together. So we did it for the MySQL grammar test, but we did not do it for all the other different types. So let's get into Postgres, and we're just going to do a lot of copy pasta here. So we'll just do that, and we'll do the same thing because we know this works, so we're really just kind of backfilling the other direction now. So let's do IP address. Awesome. and defaults column name. I think I spelled that correctly. All right, and then where else do we have it? We've got it in the SQLite. That makes sense. Let's copy that. Let's copy this. And let's change this to not include and IP address. Nice. All right, and then one more in the SQL server, SQL server, as they say. All right, get rid of foo and change that to IP_address. Okay, now let's run everything under this folder. So let's just copy this path. Copy path, repository root, test database, whoops. All right, we're all green. Cool, that looks good. Okay, what is next? Well, we need to finish this commit now. So let's just go through these slowly one more time. So we added this test IP address defaults column name. Okay, great. Yeah, that looks good. So yes, same thing here. Formatting looks good. Name looks good. Defaults column name, good. And then test adding IP address defaults column name, good. So we know they pass, so I'm not too worried about the rest of the code. And let's do a get append. Now this is actually an alias I have, so I'm going to write the whole thing just for viewing purposes. So what I'm going to do here is get commit --amend --no--edit. So I want to amend the previous commit with these changes because this is all part of the IP address update, and I don't want to change the commit message, so I can throw that no edit flag as well. And it just gets rolled up into this previous commit that I made, but it is a quote-unquote destructive bit, so this would require a force push or something of that nature because the commit SHA would change based on this amendment. So just keep that in mind, that if you'd already shared that code, that's kind of a destructive operation, kind of like a rebase or something along those lines. Okay, let's also do this for MAC address, right? And we've got all these proper files open, so let's just test drive the whole thing this time before making that change. So let's copy this and we'll paste it and we'll say test adding MAC address defaults column name. Cool. And we're not going to pass anything there, and we'll say MAC address. All right, and we want to do the same here. We'll just kind of work backwards. So we'll do this, we'll get rid of foo, we'll copy that defaults column name, and we'll say MAC address. All right, I'm going to close that down. We're going to leave Blueprint open because we're going to need to mess with that here in a second. And then this is going to be the same name. All right, and that'll be MAC address. All right, we can close that last one. And whoops, that was the wrong copy. Here's the right copy. And we'll copy that column name, and this will be MAC address. So if we run this, I would expect at least 4 errors for each of those different files. And that's what we have. We have errors 4. Always double check when you're running tests that wasn't just some kind of frivolous error, it's the error you expected, which it is in this case, too few arguments, boom, boom, boom. So this is the correct error. So let's fix it. And we've got all of our tests, so now we can just say MAC, well, not that, MAC address. Run this again and everything should be green minus that skipped test. Great. And just to kind of mess with this, let me just drop an S off that. I fat fingered it. We should get failures, and we do, and this time, instead of the exception, we get an expectation error. They are not identical because we're missing that S. So, beautiful, looking good. git add -p, let's just kind of review this quickly. Yes, we're going to default the parameter, and then we're going to add all our tests. Looks, formatting all seems good there. So where was my last commit? Default MAC address column name. Awesome. And you know what? Let's default, let's change this branch name. I think it's git branch -m, and it's like default address column methods. What are these called? Column types? Yeah, column types. Default address column type. Default address column type methods. That's a lot. We'll just say address methods. I think there's enough context to realize what it is. Great, and that worked the way I want it to. Awesome. Git push origin head. I'll submit the PR later, just in the interest of your viewing pleasure. But again, I've mentioned this before. Anytime you submit a PR or anything of that nature, you definitely want to advocate a little bit of what you're trying to do here, right? Like, what's the whole purpose? Why was this beneficial? Throw in a before and after, but keep it nice and tight. Don't write 7 paragraphs unless it's just some kind of security issue and it needs a backstory. For something really simple like this, a 3 or 4 line change, I'm just going to say, hey, I went to use these, and my assumption was, maybe there was a default address or a default column name, but there's not. Now you can do this and this. And I might just make a note like, since I changed the method signature, I'm not going to, or I'm submitting this to master for Laravel 9. So all good. That's basically what I'll submit here in just a bit. Okay, one more thing I want to do. Let's move on to the next paper cut. Let me go back to master, and let's do a git checkout -b. And what I want to do here is, I'm trying to think of what to call this. We know we can change the branch name later, but it's kind of like, we'll call it streamline db seed. Okay, and let me go back. Let's go back to an actual Laravel project real quick. Let's do, hopefully I'm not zoomed in. Good. I noticed that happened the other day on like a video stream. Like I scrolled the mouse, which actually zooms it in. You have to be on a certain screen for that to happen, the recording screen. But I realized after the fact that I'd like zoomed in, so apologies on that. I think Turbo Zonda, PHP artisan -v -capital V 717. I think I'm trying to find a Laravel 8 project just because I want to make sure. There we go. And let's just run composer update real quick. I just want to make sure I demonstrate this with the latest version so I'm not missing something, and maybe everyone in the audience can let me know what they think about this one. This is one that's actually annoyed me for a really long time. Okay, and the command is artisan db seed. I'm totally happy with this command, other than the fact that I don't like that I can't just pass a seeder name. I wish I could really just pass a seeder name. I really hate having to write this class syntax all the time. So the default is if I say like PHP artisan db seed, I don't have to pass anything else. It looks at the db seeder, and that's totally fine if that's the default. But it's really, really annoying, in my opinion, or just a lot to type, I guess, just to be a little less aggressive. It just feels like a lot to type to have to say, class equals, users table seeder, right? It's just, I don't know, that -- class, like, I don't really like that. So user table seeder doesn't exist. But you get the idea. The idea here is that class equals just seems silly. Why can't I just do this, right? That would feel a lot better to me. Like, it knows where the seeders are. Let's leverage the conventions. A lot of the other commands, artisan commands, allow you to pass kind of that top level name. This seems to be one of the few commands where you have to always set the option to do kind of a common use case. So I don't know what you all think about that in the option or the audience. Let me know in the chat. Frake says explosions in the sky, so I'm not sure if that's our running joke or if you think this is a good idea. But anyway, let me know. I'm going to go back to the framework bit, and we're going to see kind of how involved this is to tweak. So I feel like it's a fun one, though. It's one that I like, but we'll see. So, all right, we got 100% agree from Jeffrey. Thank you. So this is probably like a db seed command. Nope. Seed command. There we go. Okay, so all we want here is some kind of optional class name. I think here is kind of what would... Yeah, okay, cool. So it seems like consensus is, yeah, other people have probably run into this and felt like, gosh, that's a little bit silly, right? To always have to type out the option instead of having kind of that default bit. So let's kind of look at how involved this would be. So this get seeder, since we're pushing this to Laravel 9, I'm wondering if we just get rid of the class, the dash class altogether. I can understand if we were trying to put this in 8, we'd need to preserve the dash class option, but since I'm actually going to push this to master, meaning the next Laravel release, I'm thinking we just kill the class option and kind of change this signature altogether. It really wouldn't be that hard to do what we need to do here. So if strpos // oh, I see. Okay, so if you don't pass some kind of namespace bit in there, it's going to assume that you're underneath db seeders. That's interesting. I don't think I want to address this today. But that's a little bit... I kind of don't like this. Part of me feels like, what you would want to say is if it doesn't start with database seeders, just prefix it. But I could see people having seeders in other locations. Anyway, a bit of a tangent. Sorry about that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to see what kind of test is here. And this has a force and all sorts of stuff. And that's really it. So we really don't do anything with the command. There's no test that really kind of explicitly tests us passing in an option. So that's fine. We may need to write one, but I tell you what, the first thing I want to do is probably update this to take the appropriate option. So we're going to get rid of class, and we're basically going to make it a default argument. So this will be class, right? And we need to pass it some kind of default name. I think it's colon. I always forget. Yeah, and then it has a default of, like, I don't think we can do colon. I forget how Laravel writes the defaults when it wants. Let's go look. Let's go back to L8, PHP artisan. Let's find a command that has some kind of default. I just want to see how they write that. I'm not sure which command off the top of my head has a default value. Maybe stub publish? I don't know. Let's try this, -- help. So we have options, of course, duh. I'm trying to find a default Laravel command that has class equals default. I'm trying to find in the output of like a command where like they mention like what the default is going to be, right? Um, so I know that we can write that with Laravel with like the equal. Yeah. Yeah, I know we can do that, but I'm kind of curious like I guess it just dumps it out automatically, right? So there's kind of nothing else we have to do there. The class name of the root seeder. That's fine. I won't change that. Okay, so we have the name of the console command. Default name. What is this? I haven't seen that before. Anyway. Alright, let's keep looking here. Okay, so what we would want to change is this would be input get argument class. Yes. And does Laravel automatically give you I guess it automatically defaults. It's kind of built in. So this is really all we have to do, I think. Is we would just have to change that. How can we test this in an actual application? I guess I could configure my path in that other project for the Laravel framework to be locally, just so we can kind of try this out. Let's do that. Maybe you can search default on the commands directory. Yeah, I think I will. Let me just map this first, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's just vi composer, and what I want to do here is say something like repositories colon. I always forget the syntax. I think it's brackets. And then I think you have an array of objects, and then here I would say something like type is path, and then I think it's source, and I'll say something like // framework. And what's wrong with that? Comma. What'd I break? I'm not sure what's wrong with that comma. Let's see what happens here. Composer, not that. Composer, update. If that's not it, we'll check the old interwebs and see what happens. It doesn't seem like it updated. It doesn't seem like it updated my framework path. Key repositories is a duplicate. Oh, crap. I didn't realize I already had a repositories section. Let's Shift V, I think, and yank. I haven't used Vim in a while. I'm relying on some old some old bits here. Okay, URL is the right way to say that. Okay. So this is URL. Okay, so everything else is right. Type, it was just URL, not source. So let's go delete those. All right, let's try that again. I just want to see what this looks like. I think this change is legit. So we'll have to say dev master, I think, since we're actually running off something higher than 9. So whoops. So let's just say dev-master. All right, I think this will get us there. Oh, come on. Let's kill some dependencies. All these dependencies are going to be jacked up, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, because Laravel 9 probably has a crap load of different dependencies for, like, faker and, yeah, facade. I just wanted to make a simple change. What's the fastest way I could mess with this? Whoops. We're not in VI right now. Let's get rid of... What can I get rid of? I'm tempted just to make these like star. Let's see what happens when I just make them star. And I don't really want any like dev dependencies. I just don't care. So let's just kill all those. Let's see what happens. This is fast and loose. It works though. Okay, cool. So it's simmed link from framework. So now if we do php artisan, I broke a bunch of stuff. dbseeds command cannot be found because it's registered under multiple names. Be sure you didn't set a different name via the constructor. Okay, I was curious what those multiple names were. I'm thinking that is a problem. I've never seen this default name. Is that like a new thing? Let's check another command. Base command. Fresh command. Yeah, see, I don't... Right? None of these have default name. What is that about? Name of the migration. I guess we're getting a chance to look at some of these other things. Yeah, I just don't... Cedar make cedar. What is this default name? The name of the console command, name of the console command. This is used to identify the command during lazy loading. I don't know what that is. That's weird. I've like not seen that before. Does anybody know what that is? Just remove the default name. Yeah, I guess. dbseed command cannot be found because it's registered under multiple names. Alright, yeah. I'm just curious, like this. Where else is this in the code base? Other commands are using it. It doesn't feel like I mean, 70 other commands are using this. Doesn't feel like it's a broken thing to me. They don't seem to replicate that either. Oh. I think that's part of the problem. Let's try that. Nope. Alright. Do I call set name in here? I don't call set name in here. Let's make sure I'm registering that right. -- path. Factory make command. Make factory default name. Don't you pass in like a generator command? Didn't think that was going to be a problem. What is wrong with this? Class equals colon. That should be right. Let's just go check the docs. Maybe I've got something wrong with that name. Let's check out commands. Artisan commands. Alright. It's in curlies. That makes sense. Type hinting. Nope. Defining. Okay, so we have user. And then optional argument with default value. Good, so that's good. And then if we want to give it a name, where's an example of that? Or if we want to give it the description, here we go. Input descriptors, colon. Everything's fine with this. I don't see anything wrong here. The only thing I could think is like that's supposed to be like class somehow? I'm not sure. It's very strange. Let's look for dbseed. Maybe there is another definition of this somewhere. Fresh command. Oh, that's call. Artisan dbseed. Alright, I'm going to follow the advice and just temporarily crush that default name. Let's see what happens. Very strange. Let's just play on, shall we? DBC, did you mean one of these? PHP artisan DBC -- help. The command DBC is not defined. What is going on here? Is there something different in like Laravel 9 where they changed the seeders or that changed the artisan command somehow? This name is used to identify the command during lazy loading. I mean, am I supposed to put like class here or something? Nope. Nope. DB seed command cannot be found because it's registered under multiple names. Make sure you don't set a different name via the constructor or set name. I don't. I don't understand this. I don't understand, like, do these have to match? It doesn't seem like they have to match based on some other bits. I don't know, maybe they do. I just changed it to match, and see, it still doesn't like it. So either something's wrong with that class name or something being off. I'm not sure. Let's take out the default. I'm just kind of hacking around now. Something strange is happening here. Yeah, it still doesn't care. I don't know what that is. Maybe we'll just have to stop here and see what it is. Does it matter that you're adding inputs on the name instead of the signature? Oh, is that what it is? I totally missed that. Signature. Yes. You're probably right. What? Don't these other ones have signature? They don't. How do they not have a signature? Oh, they're all like root. They're all root commands off of that. Do they just run get arguments? You know, it's really funny sometimes, just as a quick tangent. I think you're right. Obviously, that needs to be signature and not name. That's part of the problem. But what's interesting to me is that the docs always kind of like show you the streamlined way to do it. But if you get into like core, you'll actually see that they kind of do stuff like a little bit of kind of the old schooly way. So let's follow suit here, because it doesn't seem to me like many things. Let's see if anything has signature. Okay, so schedule tasks do. Yeah, other tasks do. But the other thing too is that some tasks also have like get arguments. Yeah, see? So it's kind of just like which way to do it. I guess more have signature based on what we just did. So, okay, I think we've solved it now. So let's keep going then. I was about to throw in the towel. Okay, so default name's probably fine. We don't want to mess with that. Let's go back to DB seed and let's drop in signature here. And that is going to be this signature. I still don't know why there's two of those names, but I'm going to leave that alone because it was already there. So we really shouldn't have changed any of that. And let's pull off this nice little doc block there, and let's run this again. Help. Okay, great. Good work, everyone. Okay, so we bring in the class. The class is the name of the root class, defaults to that. Okay, so Laravel took care of all of that defaulting. That's what I was trying to figure out before. So the database option does not exist. Okay, so somewhere I just missed some code here. The database option does not exist. Yes, it does. It's right here. It's optional. The database option does not exist. So when I passed it nothing, it kind of like exploded. If you use, I wonder if you use a signature, can you mix and match? Right? Because see, this uses get options, and then we're using a signature. I'm wondering if you can't mix and match. Let's test that theory. I've never gone this this deep into like console commands before. All right, let's do get arguments, and let's set this up our way. So let's just do it kind of the old way for now. So let's borrow this. And where was an example of one of those? Get arguments. Here we go. That feels good. Let's borrow this. And let's set this our way. So class. And it's going to be optional. And it's going to be the name of the root seeder. And then I think this fourth bit here is its default value, I'm pretty sure. So let's borrow that and drop that in there and see what happens. And we got rid of signature. Okay, so same output. Let's just clear that. That might have been confusing. Okay, same output. We still get class arguments, but now let's try to run it. PHP artisan db seed. Great. Okay, and now let's do PHP artisan make seeder jmac table seeder. All right, it made that. Get status. Let's just see that it's there. There it is. And what I want to do now is say PHP artisan db seed jmac table seeder, and it's difficult to know if it ran that one or not, so let's go throw like a little dump command in there just to make sure this is doing what we want. So let's dd that, and let's say dump hello jmac. All right, and let's run that again. There we are. Cool. So that's what we wanted. A little bit of a roundabout thing there because Laravel kind of had a mix of the way it does its commands. Sometimes it's kind of this old school get options. I didn't realize that you couldn't pass a signature and mix and match these, but that does make sense that that's a little odd. I still am unclear on what this is, but it seems like it's for lazy loading. So again, I'm not going to mess with it. If we just kind of go back to the framework project, and let's just do a get add -p just so we can see the limited amount of stuff we actually ended up changing. So we brought in, of course, an input argument. We basically changed that to be from an option to an argument. Everything's still defaulted the way we want, and we just registered that argument as being optional and defaulting it just the way the option was. So instead of having to type -- class equals option all the time, you can just pass that into the db seed command. I really hope this is brought in because this was probably more of a paper cut than the other one. The other thing was a bit of a time filler. So very simple changes there. We just turned that in from an option to a argument that has the same default value. So I will PR this in after just a bit more testing, and I'll post these on Twitter to that thread. So thanks everyone for watching and bearing with me. Hopefully I'll be able to do this again next week, and I'll have my cool DSLR and key light set up so everything's a bit more professional. So thanks again for joining me live, and I'll see you all on Twitter.